Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've recently learned the rules of chess and you're finally ready to start playing actual games, you've probably realized something pretty quickly. The very beginning of the game can be the most intimidating part. You sit down, look at all those pieces, and think, what on earth do I move first? Well, today we're going to completely demystify the start of a chess game. And the best part? We're going to do it without relying on dense, stressful move memorization.
It's incredibly common for beginners to feel totally overwhelmed right out of the gate. Maybe you're tired of losing your games in the first 10 moves, and you're sitting there feeling like your opponent knows some secret code that you don't. Well, here is the ultimate fix. We're going to shift your mindset. You absolutely do not need to memorize complex sequences of coordinates. Instead, if you just follow a few core principles, you'll not only survive the opening, you'll reach the middle of the game with a fantastic position.
Let's move to our roadmap and see how this builds. We'll start with exactly why opening principles matter. Then look at some beginner-friendly openings for white, followed by solid defenses for black. After that, we'll cover the most common mistakes to avoid. And finally, a quick summary so you can play with confidence.
All right, part one. Why opening principles matter, the foundation of your game. You've got to think of the opening as the foundation of your chess house. If you just memorize a specific order of moves, the absolute second your opponent plays something unexpected, your whole house collapses. Why? Because you don't know the reason behind what you're doing. Principles set the stage. So there are 3 golden rules you need to follow here. Step 1, control the center of the board. Step 2, develop your pieces early. That means getting your knights and bishops off the back row and into the game, ideally without moving the same piece twice. And step 3, castle to protect your king. As a solid rule of thumb, get those knights and bishops out and castle your king to safety before move 10. Do that, and you're going to keep your king safe from those sudden, devastating attacks.
And this brilliantly illustrates that very first golden rule, controlling the center. Those 4 central squares, that is the most important real estate in the game. Chess is actually a lot like soccer or football. You want to control the midfield, right? Not just play on the wings. Early on, you want to play moves that influence those middle 4 squares. Pieces placed in or near the center just control way more of the board, they support your overall position, and they severely restrict what your opponent can even do. Moving on to part 2, beginner-friendly white openings, building the walls. Since white moves first, you get a special chance to really dictate the tone of the game. We're going to look at 3 fantastic beginner-friendly options, focusing on the ideas, not stressful coordinates. First up is the Italian game. This is widely considered one of the absolute best openings for beginners. Why? Because it just perfectly follows our core principles. You start by moving the pawn in front of your king to fight for the center, then you immediately bring out a knight and then your bishop. It aims for rapid development and gets you ready to castle your king super early. It leads to these nice, open, balanced positions where you can really learn how your pieces work together. Next up is the Ruy Lopez, also known as the Spanish game. Fun fact, this was actually named after a 16th century Spanish priest who analyzed it. This is a timeless opening used by literally everyone, from total beginners to world champions. It's brilliant because right after grabbing the center, you bring your bishop out slightly further to pin the opponent's knight. This means that knight can't move without exposing a more valuable piece behind it. It immediately puts this sustained, uncomfortable pressure on black center, and it teaches you to prioritize smart, strategic development rather than just rushing a premature attack. Now, what's really interesting about this third option, the London system, is that it's an opening system rather than a strict sequence of moves. It doesn't rely on rote memorization at all. Instead, you're building a very specific, rock-solid wall of pawns and pieces. The sheer beauty of the London system is that it allows beginners to build this safe structure almost completely regardless of what the black pieces are doing. It's safe, it's incredibly solid, and you can play it in almost every single game. Let's switch gears to part 3, solid defenses for black, responding with confidence. Moving second can sometimes feel like you're immediately on the defensive, right? Like you're just reacting to white. But don't worry, you can apply the exact same foundational principles we just talked about to defend confidently. A highly recommended response to white's most popular starting moves is the Caro-Kann defense. The Caro-Kann is just a fantastic choice because it's rock solid and it fights for the center of the board indirectly. But more importantly for newer players, it gives you a very clear, simple plan for where to put your pieces. You almost always end up playing with a very similar, super comfortable pawn structure. Another great option when you're playing black is the Scandinavian defense. Now, the Scandinavian might actually look like it bends a few basic rules at first glance, but it makes this list because it offers an incredibly straightforward piece development scheme. Once you learn the general vibe of where your pawns and pieces belong in this setup, it's very easy to remember and honestly quite hard to mess up. It just takes the pressure off and lets you focus on playing the game.
All right, part 4, common mistakes to avoid, inspecting for cracks. Openings are where most beginners go wrong, and it's usually not because they play illegal moves. It's because they fall into common traps that quietly hand the entire advantage over to the opponent. The trickiest part is that these mistakes often feel like totally reasonable moves in the moment. Here's a massive one. It's completely normal to see a threat and immediately react to it. Let's say you bring your knight out, your opponent attacks it with a pawn, and you panic and retreat the knight right back to where it started. Well, you've just used 2 whole moves to accomplish absolutely nothing while your opponent is gaining space. Moving the same piece twice just wastes valuable time. Always ask yourself, do I need to retreat this piece, or can I just develop a new piece to a helpful square and let the attack sort itself out? A principle developing move is almost always better.
So the crucial point is perfectly captured right here. The queen comes out after you've developed your minor pieces and castled. Beginners absolutely love bringing the queen out on move 2 or 3. Why? Because it's your most powerful weapon. It attacks everything. But bringing it out too early actually turns your best weapon into a massive target. Your opponent will just develop their cheaper pieces like their knights and bishops while simultaneously attacking your queen. Your queen will spend the whole opening running away, and your opponent will get all their pieces out for free. Do yourself a favor, keep the queen safely tucked away until you've developed your minor pieces and safely tasseled your king.
Another really common trap is blindly copying your opponent. They move a pawn, you move a pawn. They bring out a knight, you bring out a knight. Symmetrical play might feel safe, but copying moves without an actual plan means you're just passively waiting for white to attack you or waiting for them to make a mistake. You have to play with a purpose. Having any strategic goal, even a really simple one like, hey, I want to activate this bishop or I want to castle quickly, is infinitely better than just playing on autopilot.
Let's wrap things up with part 5. Summary. Play with confidence.
If you've been following along, you now have a complete conceptual toolkit. You do not need to know 30 moves of deep, exhausting chess theory to survive the opening. You just need to understand the goals. Let's do a quick run-through of this cheat sheet. 1. Control the central squares. Remember the soccer midfield. 2. Develop your minor pieces, your knights and bishops, and try not to move them twice. 3. Castle your king to safety, ideally before move 10. 4. Keep that queen back until your other pieces are out. And 5. Always play with a plan, rather than just reacting or blindly copying. Remember, these aren't just arbitrary rules we made up. This is the distilled experience of centuries of chess, designed to get you safely into a strong, playable middle game.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. Are you ready to stop stressing over memorizing endless lines of moves? You have the foundational principles now. You know to control the center, you know to develop quickly, and you know to protect your king. Now it's time to take these simple, powerful concepts to the board and play your first truly confident game of chess. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.